This event occurred in 1973. A woman named Nancy had just moved across country into a very small town in Leavenworth, Washington. She brought along her best pal, a puppy named Shotzi, which translates to sweetheart, or some terminology of endearment, in German. And Shotzi was a sweetheart. In fact, Shotzi was everything to Nancy, and Nancy would bring Shotzi just about everywhere that she went. Nancy was about 40 years old and did not have many friends or even family left at this point, hence the move across country for a fresh start. And a fresh start seemed promising as Leavenworth provided a new job opportunity and a scenic change from what Nancy was used to. However, Nancy didn't have much lined up in terms of a place to call home yet, so she had decided beforehand that she would move into a hotel on the outskirts of Leavenworth and do some house hunting. She loved doing things outdoors with Shotzi, so this would provide a good opportunity for them to explore the new atmosphere together and start this new chapter of their lives. So when they both arrived in the new town that they would call home, that's just what they did. Nancy moved what little belongings she had at 40 into the hotel room and got settled in. It should be noted, the hotel was rather dinky. It was a two-story building with all rooms accessibility only being from the outside. The main lodge was away from where the residents would stay for privacy, but the overall landscape of the hotel was not well kept. It was rather dark with minimal lighting, especially at night, when the only light sources outside of the actual rooms were dimly lit light posts that would flicker on and off. The rooms themselves were just as kept for as the outside appeared to be. A very minimalist approach with one full-size bed, one bathroom with a shower and a tiny toilet, and a sink that barely seemed to work anytime Nancy would attempt to use it. Did Nancy believe her and Shotzi deserved better? Yes. Could Nancy afford better? No. At the very least, Nancy had a TV in her room for her to unwind to at the end of her days, so that made it better. Her first night, while unpacking some of the stuff she brought, things such as hanging clothes in the closet, bringing out Shotzi's new chew toys that she had just purchased, her dog bed, her dog food, things of that nature. She decided to flip on the TV for some background noise. The classic Wizard of Oz was playing. Nancy loved this film, as it was a film that she'd watched many times as a child. It brought back many great memories for her. So she continued to unpack her belongings and straighten up her space. Drip, drip, drip. The faucet in the bathtub was very annoying to Nancy because it continuously dripped this water, and it wasn't proper looking water. This water had a color to it, a color that disturbed Nancy. But she carried on. After hanging enough clothes, it was time to feed Shotzi. Nancy goes through this whole routine anytime she feeds Shotzi. It's never just dry dog food for her. Midway through prepping Shotzi's dog food, the Wizard of Oz cut to breaking news. Breaking news. Inmate has broken out of the M-Ready Insane Asylum in the upper region of Leavenworth. We don't want anyone to panic, but remain vigilant and remain indoors if at all possible. Lock all doors and lock all windows. Nancy did not think much of this, as she was busy getting situated and feeding Shotzi. She glanced over every now and again while the news was breaking. They showed a picture of the man that had escaped. He looked exactly like what you were imagining a psycho from an insane asylum would look like. And this image was horrifying to Nancy, and it sent shivers down her spine. She immediately locked her door, but once the Wizard of Oz kicked back on, Nancy quickly forgot about it and resumed her tasks. Drip, drip, drip. Nancy got her pup into her dog bed and went into the bathroom to brush her teeth and go to the bathroom one last time. Drip, drip, drip. The faucet in the bathtub was, again, very irritating to Nancy. She tightened both knobs, as she had been doing all day to temporarily stop the drip, but it always came back. Nancy decided she would tell the front office about it first thing in the morning. After doing her nightly routine, Nancy cut off the lights, crawled herself into bed, and turned up the Wizard of Oz. She put her hand down, and Shotzi gave her hand some kisses before they both fell sound asleep. That's something they often did as a bonding technique, and Nancy had done this since she was a puppy to reassure Shotzi that she was safe. Midway through the night, drip, drip, drip. Nancy's eyes shot open, frustrated. She rolled over to check the alarm. It was only 3:06 a.m. She sluggishly got up and trudged her way to the bathroom, without turning on the lights. Nancy tightened the faucet knobs the same way she had been doing all day, then went to the bathroom once more before crawling back into bed. Shotzi began whining from next to her bed. Nancy sluggishly hung her hand from off the side of the bed for Shotzi to lick for comfort. She hushed her and told her to go back to sleep. They both did. The next morning, Nancy had a lot to do. Firstly, she went straight to the office to tell them about the annoying drip that had actually been messing with their sleep. Then, she wanted to take some time to explore the surrounding forest with Shotzi before running errands in town. Now, it should be noted that although Shotzi is Nancy's prized possession, and she loves her more than anything, she does keep her well trained. Meaning, when they go for things like walks, she keeps Shotzi politely walking next to her. She gets her nightly showers. She doesn't even sleep in the same bed with Nancy like most pet owners do with their dogs. Nancy has Shotzi sleep in the dog bed next to her bed every night to maintain that obedience. In other words, Nancy surprisingly isn't that overbearing dog mom. So, during their trail walk through the forest that morning, when Shotzi heard a noise in the bushes and jolted from Nancy's grasp, she was shocked. She was even more shocked when her sweet little Shotzi was bitten by a snake. Nancy, in a panic, rushed Shotzi to the nearest vet to treat the bite. It turns out that poor Shotzi had been bitten by a bull snake in her left arm. Luckily for her, the bull snake's bite had not been lethal, and it had just caused a bad laceration. A laceration that the local vet had been able to treat. Nancy, however, had felt horrible about the whole ordeal, and was stunned that Shotzi had even done something so out of the ordinary. The event took all day, and by the time they had got back to the hotel, it was already 8 p.m., so the day had escaped Nancy. But at the very least, her sweetheart was okay. Nancy would have been heartbroken if she had lost her. Once they had arrived back to the hotel room, Nancy treated Shotzi with the medicine that the doc had given her. Shotzi had visibly been in a lot better shape than earlier, which made Nancy feel a whole lot better. They maintained their bedtime routine, and luckily the faucet in the bathtub apparently got fixed, because Nancy hadn't heard that dreaded dripping since arriving back at the hotel. She was ready for sleep, and so was poor Shotzi. Nancy crawled into bed after fixing Shotzi into her dog bed right next to her bed. She turns on the TV. All of the lights are out. Nancy is so tired that within 15 minutes, she passes completely out. Nancy gets woken up by light growling coming from Shotzi, accompanied by a few tiny barks. Nancy, still groggy, and knowing that it has to be the middle of the night, reluctantly rolls over to check the time on the alarm clock and to get Shotzi to stop making noise. The clock reads 1:34 a.m. Nancy lets out a big yawn, and with her eyes half cracked, she grabs the remote to turn the TV off. Shh, go back to sleep, Shotzi. I love you, but we need sleep. Nancy rolls her arm off the bed to comfort Shotzi, who stops growling and begins to lick Nancy's hand, letting out a few last whines, and they both pass back out. Drip, drip, drip. Nancy's eyes slowly peel open from her slumber, then almost instantly shut back closed from grogginess. Drip, drip, drip. Nancy let out a sigh. Not this again, Nancy thinks to herself. Shotzi begins to whine in her bed next to Nancy. Nancy, still more than half asleep, rolls over and slumbers her arm over the bed to solace her. Shotzi, still whining, gives Nancy a lick on her hand. It's okay, sweetheart, Nancy says. You're a brave girl today. Shotzi, still letting out whimpers and whines, gives Nancy's hand another lick and then stops whining. Drip, drip, drip. Nancy sighs at the realization that she's going to have to get up and walk over to the bathroom over an issue that was promised to be resolved. Here goes another night with ruined sleep, Nancy bitterly thinks to herself. The alarm clock reads 3:06 a.m. Nancy drowsily gets up out of bed and trudges over to the small bathroom. With her eyes still half alive, she leans over to the bathtub and twists the faucet knobs to ensure they are as tight as possibly can be. They are. And from what her sleepy eyes in the very dark bathroom could conjure up, the water that was dripping out of the faucet and puddling up near the drain looked nastier than it had been previously. Drip, drip, drip. Nancy, stunned, realizes that the dripping isn't coming from the faucet of the bathtub, but from above her. She slowly leans away from the tub, then rushes over to the bathroom light switch to bring light to her dark thoughts. Shotzi is hung upside down from the shower head, half gutted. Drip, drip, drip. Shotzi's blood echoes with each drip against the bathtub floor. Nancy screams as loud as she can. On the bathroom mirror, the phrase, "Humans can lick too," is written in blood. Nancy, in utter disbelief, hears whining coming from the other room.